Well, hello. Welcome back to another exciting edition of Coffee with Steven. So, as you can obviously see, I'm wearing the costume for the 4th of July, which for most of you watching this video, it's just passed. Normally, as we get into the 4th of July season, I tend to do a blog as well as this companion video that focuses in on what it means to be an American, the philosophical underpinnings of our nation, things like that. And I've done that consistently now for probably the last 6 or 7 years. This time around, things are a little bit different. There's been some major developments that I'm sure most of you are aware of that have taken place in Russia, specifically with the Wagner Group. And just because time was of the essence, I really felt it was imperative to write the blog focusing on that. So this time around, the video really bears no connection to the underlying blog. This video, I do want to talk a little bit about the 4th of July, more specifically, the formulation of the Declaration of Independence. There's a lot of internal strife that's taking place within the United States of America right now, and I believe that one of the major reasons why we're having the difficulties that we're having is because of what I would construe as being the victim industrial complex. There has been a movement really for over 100 years, but it really started to manifest in an extreme version since starting in the 1960s. An idea that rather than focusing in on individuals that are being discriminated against or individuals that are dealing with some form of racism, sexism, whatever the ism that we're discussing, that it would be far more efficient to start to develop a collectivist model. Now, instead of having individuals that were potentially being victimized, now we could have whole subsets of our population being victimized. Now, this does two very important things. Number one, it becomes more efficient. Think of almost like a class action lawsuit, right? It's more efficient to have a much larger group of people. But more importantly, it creates a financial infrastructure behind it. When you have a group of people that are, in their minds, being perpetually victimized and now seeking to petition the government for a redress of grievances, or in certain instances, petitioning corporations for a redress of grievances, it just makes it easier. It also makes it easier, quite frankly, for the government as well as the corporations, right? Because rather than having to deal with individuals and provide some sort of compensation for their perceived victimization, now you can go ahead and you can make attributions to large groups. It's just a simply more efficient way of doing it. It also creates this industrialized complex, which then leads to what I would consider to be tribalism. And tribes tend to war against one another. So where we are right now is really the result of an inevitable process, right? We should have been able to predict this. Our framers, interestingly enough, stayed away from the idea of collectivized grievance, disputes. They really focused on the idea of the individual. This is how we return to a certain basic level of harmony. When the individual becomes the focus, when the collectivized group dissolves down into one gigantic tribe that is the United States of America, you have the basis of a philosophical underpinning, you have mutual respect, and by definition, you have a focus not only on the individual being protected from egregious behavior on the part of the government, but you also have the individual seeking to better themselves as individuals. This is the foundational principle of our country. It's something that I'd like to see us return to again. Anyways, like I said, read the blog. A blog has nothing to do with this particular video, but read the blog this week. Hopefully we can see what ultimately happens when it comes to the trials and tribulations in Russia and the Ukraine. But as always, train constantly, train consistently, train repetitively, and train with purpose. Above all else, stay safe.